January 20th.
Yeah.
J2O, that's what it is. 2023. We got Clay Harbor taking the world by storm. Congrats on getting on Jay Will. We were talking about it before. Kellerman, Keyshawn, we saw you there. That was great. He does our Believe in Jags show. The Jags are they the biggest surprise of the NFL season to you?
I mean, to me, no, but to the world, yes. I mean, they were last place in the division last year. Didn't even have a heartbeat, barely could find a pulse for these guys. And then a year later, now they're one of 8 teams left in the entire NFL. Yeah, I think that's a surprise. To go from worst to first is incredible. But you got to realize, you go from Urban Meyer to Doug Peterson. I mean, that's a big change right there. Doug Peterson, I've been on the staff with him back in Philly. He was my he was a quarterback coach when I was on the team. So I got a chance to really get to know Doug. He's a great guy, very intelligent. And him and the coaching staff that he assembled is the biggest reason, in my opinion, that they've had so much success. Mike McCoy, former head coach, former offensive coordinator, Coach Peyton Manning. You bring him in to tutor your star quarterback. You got Press Taylor, offensive coordinator, offensive mind. Jim Bob Cooter, former offensive coordinator, is on the offensive staff. He doesn't get a lot of praise, doesn't get talked about a lot.
That's one of the best names in football.
Huge name. Jim Bob Cooter, that's awesome. And he's a smart guy. He was my offensive coordinator in Detroit when I was on the Lions. So they assembled a great offensive staff, and they knew what they needed to do. Hey, we got this talent at quarterback. If we progress him, it's a quarterback-driven league. We progress him, we can make a great change. They did, and then that's what made their season so special.
Is there a little bit of maybe a 3-4 year, maybe even more than that window opening up here, given what the rest of the division looks like? I mean, you're looking at a Colts team and a Texans team that might be taking rookie quarterbacks. Now, Trevor would be going into year 3 next year. He's already ahead of them. They won the division this year. The Titans are kind of up in the air. Obviously, they have an incredible head coach, but I feel like this might be like, we might see a Jags.
Yeah, I think AFC, 3 or 4 is short.
AFC, well, but like, you get what you can take. I feel like in the modern NFL, anything can happen, and who knows what Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, if either of those teams take those guys, turn into. But
totally.
Are you liking this window this year, obviously, for the Jags? We want to get into the game this weekend, but also going forward.
Yeah, I said nearing the end of the season, I go, if the Titans don't win the division this year, this is going to be their last chance for, 5, 6, for the foreseeable future. And that just depends on how special do you think Trevor Lawrence is? Do you think they can bring in a rookie quarterback that in a couple of years can compete with Trevor Lawrence? My opinion, no. I think Trevor Lawrence is special. I think Doug Peterson's special. I think Travis Etienne is one of the most underrated running backs in the league. This guy goes from 0 to 60 faster than anybody that I've seen. I'm not lying here. It's unbelievable how fast this guy can stop and start. I mean, he's like driving a Tesla, man. This guy can just zoom. There's no gears there. I mean, he's just straight speed, straight quickness. So I think this team's special, and I don't see in the foreseeable future them losing to the Texans, Titans, or Colts, in my opinion. So I think this division is going to be theirs for a long time.
Well, can we talk about the Trevor Lawrence thing, because you have him as the second best quarterback left in the play?
Crazy.
No, I want to hear the reasoning behind it, because I think a lot of people would probably have Burrow and Allen both ahead of him in the 4. I mean, what a foursome of quarterbacks there. But give us the rationale and the reasons behind it.
Okay, so the question was to start a franchise, right? And in starting a franchise, which quarterback would you rather have? So it wasn't just the best, and yeah, he's not the best quarterback. I think he might be, just because the quarterbacks that are in here, he might be 5th, maybe 6th. There's an argument, but 5th. But overall, to start a franchise, this guy's 23 years old. I know the other guys are young too, right? But the improvement that he showed from last year to this year, I mean, it's incredible, going from Urban Meyer to Doug Peterson. What he's shown, he does that again. I mean, he's up there with Mahomes and Allen, in my opinion. And
context of the question is incredibly
the context
important,
is huge.
right?
I'll veer us off for a quick hot second. I'm going to get us back on the path, because we were having a debate the other day.
Love a good debate.
And I know you do, in basketball. Yeah. And you were saying that Victor Wembanyama is like a once in a lifetime talent, but I want to throw it back to Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Who was a once in a lifetime talent. Like when he was a freshman quarterback, people like, okay, if he went into the draft, he'd be the first overall pick. Look at that. Yeah. I want one of those flasks. The If Trevor Lawrence was going in as a freshman, be the first overall pick, is he better than Burrow? I don't know. But to me, saying that he could be, or maybe he is right now, better than Josh Allen, I don't think it's that far-fetched because a lot of people expected him to be that guy.
Yeah.
He was projected to be the next Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, be the best quarterback in the league. So if he's making these jumps, I don't think it's that crazy. I think we were thrown a little bit off kilter with Urban Meyer and the disaster they had last season. And you said they were worse in the division. Let's not sugarcoat it here. They were worse in the NFL.
In the league.
Yeah.
They got the
dead
first
last.
pick. They drafted the first pick in the draft last year.
And they made all these moves. And I'll go to that now because what was the best move outside of Peterson? Because I would assume that's what you said, would say to this question. But what was the best move player personnel wise that you think they made?
I mean, they made a bunch of good moves and
a bevy of them.
And I love Foye Oluokun is an underrated guy that doesn't get talked about much. Led the league in tackles this year. He's the quarterback of that defense. That's why this defense, the last 5 games of the year, averaged 15.5 points a game. I mean, that was a great move. Folo Fatukasi was a great move, shoring up that inside in the run game. Doesn't get talked about much. Obviously, the draft, Trayvon Walker, I think, he didn't do a ton this year, but I think he's shown in the future he can progress. But the best move, in my opinion, I like Evan Ingram. I think Evan Ingram's great. I think Zay Jones is great, but you look at Christian Kirk, what he's done for Trevor Lawrence to have a consistent guy, and he's not a guy that's going to wow you, do anything crazy, but he's just consistent. He runs good routes. He catches the football. He's a consistent, diligent worker. When I went to training camp this year, first guy out, last guy off the field, he's catching 100 passes on the jugs. I mean, that's the kind of guy you want. That's one to get routes in after practice with Trevor. And he's just been a consistent target for Trevor Lawrence. And I know people were saying the worst signing in free agency. He's not worth the money. Next thing you know, this guy's got over 1,000 yards. He had a touchdown last week in the wild card round, 9 touchdowns this year, ton of catches. Guy was worth every penny they paid him.
He's an absolute stud, and they've done wonders with him. And it kind of begs the question:
the consistency factor, right? They're talking about this New York Giants team that's in the playoffs. He would be the number 1 receiver on their team, no question. Right?
He'd be the number 1 receiver on a few teams. I think it's a situation where you have a guy like Zay Jones, who you brought up. You bring up Ingram. We have Marvin Jones over there as well, Junior.
Yeah,
who's got a silky smooth voice. Just quick shout out over there to him. And he does. And then you have Christian Kirk. It almost begs the question: are you sometimes better off in an instance with a bunch of number 2s than just one number 1 guy that the quarterback gets googly eyes for? Just want to throw that out there. So sell me this pen. How can they beat and do the near impossible and beat the Kansas City Chiefs this upcoming weekend?
It's going to be tough. It will be tough. And I know it's the teacher versus apprentice. Yeah, teacher versus apprentice. You got Doug Peterson playing. It's his old boss, Andy Reid. Andy Reid was his boss in Philly for several years, took him to Kansas City with him, made him his offensive coordinator, boss in Kansas City. Doug obviously goes to Philly, wins a Super Bowl. Now he's in Jacksonville. These two know each other well. So Doug knows what Andy's going to do. Doug has a good idea what's Andy, but Andy knows what Doug's going to do. Here's the reason I think the Jaguars have a chance. They've been playing in playoff games for the last 5 weeks now. If you lose, you're done. You can't lose. If you want to make the playoffs, you can't lose. The game against Tennessee, the end of the year, that's a playoff game. You literally win, you're in. Guess what? They won. Played a playoff game last week. Come back 27 points down. They win. There's momentum. There's belief. The mindset that Doug Peterson has instilled in these guys is they believe they can do anything. So I think going into Kansas City, nobody gives them a shot. They're playing with house money. I know Arrowhead's loud and, Trevor can't play in this environment. It's going to be the loudest. Trevor Lawrence played in the college football playoffs 3 straight years. He won the national championship. These college stadiums are jam-packed. More people fit in these college stadiums than they do in the NFL stadiums. This is something Trevor Lawrence has came up doing. He's used to these environments. They've even played in Arrowhead this year when they only lost by 10 points to the Kansas City Chiefs. They missed 2 field goals. Christian Kirk dropped a wide-open touchdown pass, and Cam Robinson got called for an illegal man downfield on a touchdown pass. That game was closer than people think. This team believes they can play with these guys. If they can block Chris Jones, I think they can pull off an upset.
Wow, singling out Chris Jones. And I want to, you bring up my least favorite penalty in the entire game. I hate the illegal man downfield. What are we doing? Just let the boys play.
There has to be. I feel like there has to be
penalty.
There has to be some redaction of that penalty to clarify that it's when it's involved in the play and actually makes some sort of impact.
Yeah,
right?
agreed.
Because when there's a screen pass outside or something, like when it just has no, and a guy's, he's 5 yards upfield. He wants to roam free. I mean, he's
let him hang out. It paints his linemen like a bunch of streakers on the
Just let him
field.
do it.
PETA, it's crazy. Yeah, I'm out. I'm out on that penalty. But honestly, like,
I've got restless leg syndrome. I get it. Like
Yeah.
every now and then you got to roam a bit.
gotta let it fly. We were sitting there, Alex and I, when the Jags were down 27-0, and we went to betonline.ag. Go to betonline.ag today, and we put down part of our welcome bonus on the Jags money line, and they came back and won. Look, if you're Trevor Lawrence,
I do want to say, I think some of that had to do with the team they were playing and how unlucky that team has been
Unlucky,
as a career team.
Did you guys see the bonehead that put the $1 million on the Chargers?
You believe?
like,
do you think
all over?
that's real?
yes, I saw.
They said they confirmed it.
Oh,
He put like $1 million something down to win $14K.
I bet you that guy
Lost.
doesn't. He doesn't like Joey Bosa right now.
I mean, dude, like, or our boy Dicker. I mean, that was a disaster. Let's shift gears, obviously, because you're worldly on the entire NFL. And we've kind of touched on your rankings, quarterback rankings in the AFC. Give us your quarterback rankings for the remaining teams in the NFC, because we've all been debating that over here in the office. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
So it's funny. One of my old friends from Philadelphia, Ruben Frank. He's a media person over there in Philly. He's works for 94 WIP, well-known guy in Philadelphia, and he ranked the entire playoffs. He had Trevor Lawrence ranked last, which I thought was wild. I mean, he had a good argument. He's like, I like Trevor. He's like, it's just like a bunch of good quarterbacks left. But as far as the NFC is concerned, I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts number 1. And I mean, I think that's pretty easy to see right now. I think in the entirety of the playoffs, I mean, he could be 5th, but in the NFC he's 1, because the NFC isn't strong in the quarterback category right now. And I thought he should have got some votes for MVP. You saw how important he was when he went out. Then number 2, I'll go with Dak Prescott. Dak had a big game last week, 4 touchdowns, no picks. I know he's not that consistent. And, he had a big game with Dalton Schultz, CeeDee Lamb, and he can go up and down, but Brock Purdy's a rookie, right? So I can't just crown him yet. I know he's done a lot of good things. He's passed several games, but then I'm going Purdy. Then I'm going Daniel Jones. And I like Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones can run. He can throw. He had 78 plus yards last week in that big win against the Vikings. But obviously the Vikings defense, I mean, us three could probably go out right now and play on that defense. That's how bad they are. The only defense that's worse than them in the NFL is my Chicago Bears as well. So Daniel Jones isn't bad. I think Brian Dable is a great coach. He does a lot of good things. Brian Dable is my tight end coach when I was in New England. I know I've played for a lot of teams.
Can you talk about him for a bit, Clay? What is it about that guy that obviously he just reeks? I got the opportunity to sit in when he talked with Carl Banks and Bob Papa, who do our Giants show, and he just reeks of a guy who just loves football and lives football. God. But what's different about him?
Yeah, absolutely. Brian Dable, he gets the most out of his players. As simple as that. Like he puts them, he knows what you're talented at, and he'll tell you. He's like, he'll tell you, like, this is what you're good at. And this is the situations we're going to put you in. We're not going to ask you to do things you can't do. He gets the most out of his players. As simple as that. He looks at his players, he sees what he has, and he does a plan to put them in the best situations they can be in. His quarterback, his receivers, his tight ends, they're not going to be running around. They're not going to be blocking guys that can't block. He's not going to try to run plays they can't run. Some coaches, they run an offense, and that's the offense they're running. We're going to run this. Like the beginning of the season, you saw Luke Getsy trying to use Justin Fields like he was Peyton Manning. He's sitting back there in the pocket, like trying to make quick. Like that's not Justin Fields. Okay, and then they adopt this Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens style offense, and you see Fields have all the success. We're over 7 games, they're scoring over 26 points a game, top 5 in the NFL when he switched up the offense. Brian Dable puts his players in situations where they know how to win. Daniel Jones, he's not a Peyton Manning type quarterback going to sit back there in the pocket. He's a long strider. He can run. He can get 78 yards like he had last week against the Vikings. He can't throw for 3, but he's going to be on the move for some of them. They're going to be longer progressing plays. He's not going to anticipate a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He knows that. Daboll's knows that. And he's a guy that his personality, you want to play for him. He's a good guy. You trust him. You respect him. And he's got your back.
Yeah,
I love that Peyton Manning impression. By the way, you really do resemble.
We made it. Look at that. We made it side by side with Peyton over here. Is he your coach of the year?
I think there's an argument to be made for Brian Dable. Obviously, what he's been able to do is pretty incredible. But I'm the host of Believe in Jaguars. I got to say, Doug Peterson is my coach of the year. Worst team in the NFL to the second round of the playoffs.
It's impressive.
Playoffs.
We're talking
about the playoffs?
It's unbelievable what he's done, and all while wearing a visor. You got to be impressed with this guy, no doubt. A couple quick hitters for you, Clay. You played the tight end position. Who's the best tight end of all time?
Travis Kelce. I mean,
Gronk.
So here's the deal. I got two. I played with Rob Gronkowski. The thing about Gronk is Gronk can block like an offensive tackle. This guy, he could successfully play offensive tackle. I one of the reasons I went to New England is to be able to play with Gronk. Never seen the guy just get his hands in the perfect spot, keep good pad level, back straight, knees bent, just perfect blocking technique. This guy, you could run power to him. You could go out, he could catch a touchdown. Career longevity wasn't as long as, I know people say Tony Gonzalez. Tony Gonzalez was playing when I was playing. I watched Tony Gonzalez. He didn't block a soul. He's a wide receiver. Yeah, he caught a lot of balls. To me, Tony Gonzalez was good. He's not as good as Travis Kelce. As Travis Kelce's career is as long as Tony Gonzalez's, his numbers will far exceed Tony Gonzalez.
Right.
But the difference between Gronk and Kelce's a bit better receiver, bit better route runner, but Gronk is all around. The guy can block, he can catch, he can make plays, and all while doing this, he's just a big dumb animal. I'm like trying to figure out why he's running these routes the way he's running, thinking I'm gonna get some cerebral answer, Gronk, why'd you do that? Yeah, I thought it'd be good. I was open if I went right instead of left, and he's just a big dumb animal. And sometimes it's just a feel. You think these guys got these great theories and thoughts, Gronk could just play. He could just catch. He could just make plays, man. So all around tight end, Gronk, receiving tight end, Travis Kelce. I will accept no other answers. I know you probably got the Tony Gonzalez, the Shannon Sharp, but if you want to go old school, Mike Ditka, maybe, I don't know. But those two guys are my best two tight ends.
Love that. And last two for you, Clay. What did the Bears do with the first overall pick?
A lot of people are saying they trade for Bryce Young, reset the quarterback clock, and then you got money to spend. You got all this money for 4 years, and I think Justin Fields can be special, man. I really do think he can be. I think we didn't learn what kind of passer he was. We don't know if he can really throw the ball like a quarterback. We know he can make some plays over 7 games. They average over 25, 26 points a game, and that's impressive. You get a good defense with this guy, get a little bit better of an offensive line. You get him some weapons to throw the ball to. I think he can at least make the playoffs. He's got to improve in the pass game. Right now, he's not a good passer. He takes too long to make decisions. That's where a lot of the sacks came from. But you do not find a guy that can make the type of plays he can make. He's just so explosive. And I know the longevity might not be there with some of these quarterbacks. You see Lamar getting hurt. You see what happened with Cam Newton. You see Jalen Hurts' shoulder. And, that's starting to tell people hey, maybe we need a guy that can throw the ball a little more because this guy isn't going to last that long in this league. But I think you keep Justin Fields. Maybe you trade down to 4 because I don't want to miss out on Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. I want to get one of those two. If you can trade down to 4, still get them. Maybe get an extra pick. That's great. Otherwise, I'm cool with them taking Will Anderson. This guy, I think he's a Von Miller type edge. This guy's going to make some plays. And I know he's an outside linebacker, not a defensive end, but I think he can make that switch too.
Wow. Jack Hobbs locking in for 20 million.
I like the trade down to 4 to get one other guy if you can. I think that's a great move. And we feel the same way.
Even the swap, but I love Fields. Even the swap with the Texans is plausible. And pick up an extra pick there. I don't necessarily hate that if you can bait them to do it. All right, we ask everybody that comes on the show this. Could be from you playing anything, Clay, watching. What is your favorite sports memory ever?
My favorite sports memory ever would have to be, I don't know if you guys remember this, but it's called The Miracle in the Meadowlands Part 2. I was on the Philadelphia Eagles. I was on the punt return team. And I remember the guys before the play happened, we're going up to each other and go, hey, if they punt this to Deshaun, we hold them up. Deshaun's going to take this back. And I remember us literally physically saying that to each other. We can end this game right here. They're not going to punt it. Like whispering so they don't hear us. They don't already know that Deshaun Jackson's back there. There's no way they're punting to him. But, make sure we lock this up. Next thing you know, punt. Deshaun gets the ball. We're all blocking our tails off. And Yeah, I mean, you guys know what happened if you know that play. Deshaun runs it back for a touchdown, is running along the end zone, runs in the end zone, throws it in the stands. We go crazy. We won the division on that play right there when 11-5 made the playoffs, lost in the division in the wild card round to the Green Bay Packers, which eventually ended up being Aaron Rodgers' only Super Bowl win so far. I mean, I don't know. I don't think you'll get another one, but the locker room after that game, I remember they doused Coach Reed with the cooler, and everybody got real quiet because they thought he was going to be pissed. He grabs the cooler, he throws it up, and it was one of those ceilings like in high school you could like stick the pencils in.
Yeah.
Half the ceiling comes down with the cooler, and everybody gets really quiet again. The next thing you know, everybody's jumping around, throwing Gatorade, and just everybody's going crazy. And we just won the division. That's probably my best football memory.
That's
I've
epic.
seen that. That is epic. And Weatherford punted to him. He fumbles the punt. I'm from New York. We've seen that. I've seen that play like literally 9 million times. I've never heard about the water cooler thing in the locker room. That's awesome. Well, yeah. Clay, keep it up, man. We love the work you do for Believe in Jags. We'll see you throughout the rest of the playoffs. This is the Daily Stripe with Believe. We'll catch you guys next time.